So this video started off as a by chance encounter with both a Ryzen 5 2600X and an i7 9700K that I was working with, and the fact that I noticed something a little bit dodgy. Now, the 2600X was brand new, literally just taken out of the box, brand new, and using its stock cooler, whereas the i7 9700K was running at its stock speeds, but it did have a 280mm AIO. Yet, somehow, despite whatever, despite the fact that the 9700K is a lot more expensive, has a much better cooling solution, well, they somehow, within a margin of error, got the exact same Cinebench R15 score. Yes, Cinebench, the thing that you use to sort of give an idea of how it would work under an actual workload. Yet somehow, they were only in a couple of points. And now, like an idiot, I did lose where I put the score for the 9700K and I can't find it, but I do remember there was about 20 or so points within the 2600X. Yet it costs 2 to 3 times as much. So really it sort of inspired me to make this video questioning, really, is Intel even worth it anymore? Well, today we are going to discuss it and find out. So, starting off then, what do each have going for themselves? Well, you have AMD that in the past year, well, they've, to be fair, curb stomped Intel repeatedly. Getting such huge performance gains in literally every sector. Their desktop parts are now able to outperform some of Intel's top-of-the-line HEDT lineups, and even their own older AMD Threadripper HEDT chips. The 3950X and the 3900X just giving ridiculous amounts of processing power on a desktop level, And on top of all of that, they're running on a smaller microarchitecture, which means core for core, generally speaking, they don't use anywhere near as much power as, say, a 9900K. Yeah, yes, the 3950X, if I'm not mistaken, does use more power than 9900K. But compared to the disparity in just how many cores it has, you'd expect it to be using twice as much, not, I think it's like 20 or 30 watts more. It's kind of crazy. Not to mention just how much more it can process. If you're doing production work or even gaming, it's still pretty damn close. And if all of that didn't kneecap Intel hard enough, well, you even got the price to consider. Between the current and last gen for AMD, all of their chips are consistently way cheaper than Intel core for core, despite performing almost as well as, with the same chips that might have the same amount of core counts, or even better. With the scariest being price performance. My notes are a bit of a mess on this one, but a ridiculous example of points comparison. Take AMD's 3200G. Now that is an overclockable quad-core 4-thread part. Okay, it's also got really nice graphics to boot. This is the closest thing to it, which is Intel's i3 9350K. Now that is also overclockable, it is also a quad-core part, and it's also got 4 threads. Yet the 3200G, that costs £78, which is kind of understandable, not to mention you get pretty nice graphics, that's pretty decent as a chip on its own. Yet the i3, despite also being a quad-core part, also being overclockable, and actually running a bit hotter because, like I was saying with the microarchitecture differences, that costs £200. That's like 2.5 times as much. It's just, it doesn't come with integrated graphics. It's the only chip that is an i3 that is overclockable, and the only quad-core that is overclockable that's on the current generation from Intel. Just seriously, what is going on here, Intel? Seriously, it just doesn't make any sense. And if you look at the exact opposite end, Intel's highest desktop part is, the 9900 KS, which can get for £500+, or more often than not, £550+. Yet that is still only an octa-core processor. You've got 8 cores on a 14nm processor, whereas with AMD, the only thing it can reasonably be compared to, which is their high-end desktop part, because it's the only thing that is really close in price, because I have seen them go for as much as £650 for the KS, is the £700 16-core 3950X. So, for what? An extra 25 to 35% depending on the day, you get practically double the processing power in sheer core count and actual testing in a production workload. Something like an 81% performance uplift. Just wow. Hell, even AMD's second best CPU, the 3900X, with only 12 cores, is still only £440, so it's still cheaper. That's as much as a 9900K. Yet it's still got 4 more cores. So just, come on, tell me I am not the only one who cannot see the price making any sense whatsoever. Now, yes, you could say that AMD are worse for straight up in-game performance, as there can be a 10 to, let's call it charitable, 30% performance loss on a 3900X over the 9900K. Not the KS. But with that, you gain so much more. You want to stream your games, you've suddenly got extra cores to do so. Encoding a video, you're doing a lot faster. Video editing, you've got the extra work, the extra threads to do it at real time. 3D rendering and all manner of actual production workloads. Suddenly the time is being cut by significant fractions. And jumping back to what I said earlier about the 9700K versus the 2600X. Now, the 9900K, so that is a 8-core part, and on top of that, it is only 8 cores, no extra threads. Yet the 2600X, that is a 6-core part with 12 threads. Okay, so there's a bit of disparity there. So, your 9700K has got a boost clock of up to 4.9 GHz, base clock of 3.6. Your 2600X has got 4.2 boost clock, but it's overclockable, so that doesn't really matter. Same with the 9700K, that's also overclockable. A base clock of also 3.6. It's got more threads. They both have the exact same TDP. Okay, but the 2600X has got more threads, and to be fair, that is the higher end 2600, so TDP being a bit higher, that's kind of understandable. Now, I have gone ahead and been doing some checking, but generally speaking, you will only see about between 0 and maybe a 35% performance drop if you pick a 2600X over a 9700K. I have seen situations where even on a AAA modern title that's only came out like past year, it will be at the exact same frame rate if all other factors are negated. So same speed RAM, same graphics card, yada yada. 0 to 0% performance loss, or even sometimes a bit of a gain, which is insane. And yet, at most, in a worst case scenario for something that it's not really optimized for at all, it's still 110, 120 FPS over 150. Yet, what you're actually paying isn't 10, 20% less. You're paying literally 1/3 the price. 2600X at the moment is £115. The 9700K at the moment is £340. Literally 3 times as much. For in some cases, no ascertainable performance gain at all. It's just, tell me I'm not the only one that is questioning why anyone would want to go for Intel at this point. Everything from their bottom end to their top end just doesn't compete with AMD. If you want to go for pure nothing more than you need to render as many things as possible as quickly as possible, then you might want to go for an Epic, Rome Epic 7700, whichever SKU it is, that's got 64 cores, or even just an AMD Threadripper 3990X. Because that's also got 64 cores, 128 threads. Yeah, it's limited by RAM, but when you've got that much sheer processing power, not to mention it's what, 4 point something gigahertz? What's the real complaint with it? You know? Not to mention it costs, what? I think it's about £3,000 or something, whereas if you want to get an equal performance in Intel, you need two, something like $10,000 chips. In fact, I'll do this in dollars because I know what they are off the top of my head. You know, two of Intel's $10,000 chips compared to one 3990X, which is only $39.90. You know, you're paying 1/5 as much for literally 20% more performance. You know, server space, Intel's being smashed. High-end desktop, Intel's being smashed. You know, desktop and even down to just the most basic things like the mobile processors. Why would anyone want to go Intel? Now, sure, there are a few arguments to be made in like gaming, but to be fair, who really, I do mean this honestly now, who only ever uses their PC 100% for gaming? Now, I know that there will be many people that do, but who only uses it for gaming and never wants to touch it for anything else? Like, oh, yeah, I might try this at some point. Like, oh, yeah, I like gaming a lot. Why don't I try streaming it or putting it on YouTube? Well, if you went for an Intel part, then okay, cool, you've got a few things to deal with. But if you went for an AMD part, all of a sudden you can do it a lot faster for the same price. Also, please excuse the phone ringing. But you know, it just makes you question, why would you do it? But anyway, I've probably been dragging this on for long enough. Now, you want my personal opinion, I would say anyone, if you're building a new PC right now, go for AMD. You'll get so much more mileage out of it. You'll get so much more for your money. And to be honest, you really don't lose much, if anything, by going AMD. Not to mention, you can go ahead and put the couple of hundred that you'll save on your CPU and your motherboard combo into a better graphics card, more RAM, something like that. See what, 9700K, you're probably looking an extra 100 to 150 for a motherboard. Realistically, let's be fair here. So an extra 100 to 150 for a motherboard. And you've also got to pay for RAM on top of that. So realistically, by the time you're done with it, you're looking at probably around about £600. Now for the 2600X, I know this because I've built a couple. See what, £115 plus. Okay, let's be a bit generous here. We'll throw Intel about a £70 board. So that's bringing us up to what, 185 plus 80 quid. So £255. £255 for your motherboard, CPU, and RAM. Yeah, that's a fair whack. You've got 16 gigs that way. Versus nearly 600 for the 9700K. That is £300, and £300 goes a lot in a PC. It can go very far in a PC build. You could use that to actually get a decent graphics card. Say you were thinking, ooh, I don't know, I might go for a 2060 or a 5700 XT. I'd hold off on buying a graphics card at the moment, by the way. But now all of a sudden, like, oh, I could get a 2070 or even a 2080, and actually be able to utilize all of my CPU that way, rather than leaving stuff that way. It's just, there is so much more you can do for so much less. And that's really the point that I want to leave on. If you are either on a budget, or if you just simply want your money to actually be spent properly and not waste it on unnecessary features or things simply because people think, oh, this company's the best when it's not, go for AMD. If you're building a PC right now, go for AMD. You will not regret it. It'll be so much more value for money. You will get so much more work out of your PC, and on top of it all, with AMD, even if you went for a low end, say, went for a decent B450 board, simply so you could go ahead and upgrade in the future, make sure it's got decent VRM cooling. That means you could start off buying, say, a 1600 AF, which is a very cheap CPU right now, and they're like, oh, I'm not too fond of this anymore, I want an upgrade. You could go for as far as a 3950X. I'm not recommending you put a 3950X into a B450 board, but that's what you could do. You can go from literally as little as a 2-core Athlon to a 16-core on the same board. The only thing you have to take into account is make sure it says adequate board and you've got an adequate power supply. But anyway, okay. I've really dragged this on for way too long, so like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Any thoughts or comments, leave them in the form of a comment below. Don't forget to check out my Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch pages, all the usual good stuff, and well, hit that subscription, hit the notification bell, and I am going to be catching you next time. Anyway, this has been the 117th con, signing off. Have a great day, folks, and I will catch you all in the next one. Until then, ta-ra.